Hello students, myself Professor Devendra Rawat and I am going to present some important questions of Physics Paper 1. So let's start discussion with circular motion, gravitation and rotational motion. To begin with, circular motion. One of the important questions in this chapter is acceleration in Euclidean. We know we can prove it by geometrical method or calculus method. You can always choose any one method to prove this derivation. If you are going for calculus method, remember students, diagram is absolutely necessary. Then expression for radius vector, velocity vector, acceleration vector, and remember, most important, the interpretation of the negative sign here and the justification for the word centripetal acceleration. Likewise, if you go for geometrical method, again diagram is necessary, construction, expression for delta V, expression for acceleration, and again the justification of negative sign. The next important question is students, banking of roads, expression for maximum velocity along a curved bank road considering friction. Again in this question, diagram is absolutely necessary, showing the resolution of normal reaction and friction, equating the forces and thereby deriving the expression. Next question is conical pendulum, expression for time period. Again students, diagram absolutely necessary, showing the resolution of time period and equating the tension forces along vertical and horizontal direction and thereby deriving the expression for time period. The next important question, vertical circular motion, expression for linear velocity and energy at different points. Again, diagram absolutely necessary, showing T and mg at different points and thereby deriving the derivation. Next, students, also numericals on centripetal acceleration, centripetal force and banking of roads are important in this chapter, circular motion. Let's move ahead, student. The next chapter, gravitation. Now, one of the important question here is weightlessness condition in a satellite. Next, variation of G due to altitude, latitude and depth, expression for this and also numericals based on this. Remember students, in all this question, diagram is absolutely necessary. The next important question, binding energy expression, where you have to derive expressions for kinetic, potential, total, interpretation of negative sign for total energy, absolutely necessary, and thereby going for binding energy expression. Also, numericals on critical velocity and time period of satellite. Let's move to the next chapter, students, rotational motion. Now, one of the important question here is rolling motion, different forms. That means expression for total rolling kinetic energy, expression for acceleration, expression for velocity. Next, conservation of angular momentum, the statement and its derivation in vector form, parallel and perpendicular axis theorem, and also its application to different objects and different axes. Also students, numericals on application of parallel and perpendicular axis theorem to different rigid bodies. Let's move ahead, student. Let's move to the next chapter, oscillations, wave motion and stationary wave. If I talk about oscillation, one of the important question here is the expression for acceleration, velocity and displacement, calculus method, the respective maximum and minimum values, V max, V minimum, A max, A minimum. Also, graphical representation of SHM, wherein we plot the graph of X, V and A. We have two conditions here, starting from mean position and starting from extreme position. The next question, students, here is expression for kinetic, potential and total energy, its conservation and its graphical representation. Also, numericals on simple pendulum are important in this chapter. If I move ahead, wave motion, here the first important question is the expression for equation of simple harmonic progressive wave and its different forms and numerical based on different forms of simple harmonic progressive wave. Also, numericals on beats are very important, and Doppler effect, different equations and numericals on Doppler effect. Moving ahead, next chapter, stationary waves. One of the important question is the analytical treatment or formation of stationary waves with explanation of formation for condition of nodes and antinodes, modes of vibrating string, diagram and equation. Students, here we have to know the different modes of diagram. So students, we should draw the diagram for different modes of vibration, clearly labeling it, and also the expression for respective frequencies in the different modes. Also open pipe and closed pipe, same diagram and the respective frequency equation. Distinguish between harmonics and overtone, force vibrations and resonance. End correction, open pipe and closed pipe, expression for end correction, and also numericals on vibrating strings. Let's move ahead, students. Now let's discuss important questions of elasticity, surface tension and KTG and radiation. So to begin with elasticity, behavior of a metal wire under increasing load, the graph, the conclusions and important definitions in it. Strain energy, expression for strain energy by calculus method and its different forms, and also numericals on Young's modulus, bulk modulus and modulus of rigidity. Surface tension, students. First question that is important here is angle of contact, its characteristics, explanation of angle of contact with proper diagrams. Drop and bubbles, calculation of excess pressure, rise of a liquid in a capillarity phenomena, diagram and the expression for the rise of the liquid in a capillary, expression for H, and also numericals on finding the surface tension and work done. Work done in increasing the surface area or work done in splitting a drop into many droplets or coalescence of many droplets into single drop. Next chapter, students, kinetic theory of gases and radiation. One of the important question here is the pressure equation, pressure exerted by a gas, its derivation and the different forms, very important. Expression for kinetic energy per unit volume, per mole, per molecule, per unit mass and its numerical. Also laws of thermodynamics, zeroth law, first law and second law. Just the statement is required here. Spectrum of black body radiation in terms of wavelength, wherein we draw the graph, conclusions from the graph. Also in the graph we have to clearly show that increase in temperature and shift of the wavelength towards the lower side. Numericals on RMS velocity, Stephen's law and Newton's law of cooling are important in this KTG and radiation. That's all here in physics paper 1, students.
तो क्या देख ले